Yo, what is up, guys? James Carter TV here to recap the Saturday night football game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins. And later on, I will get into the prediction that has become famous on my channel. And I might be finally admitting whether or not I was wrong, but we'll get to that later. But for now, let's worry about this football game. And a football game in which I learned a couple things. Number one, the Eagles are done. They're finished. They're kaput. They're finished. They're done. Unless if Dallas chokes as well, which they certainly could do. But I don't see it, okay? Dallas has to lose both of their last two remaining games. And I don't see that happening. Now, they may lose next week. I mean, they may lose tomorrow. But then will they lose at Washington right after that? I'm not going to bet on that. So right now, if the Eagles are going to get in, I'll say it's a 10% chance. I mean, you have a chance. I'm not going to discount that chance. But the chances are really low right now at this juncture. So, wow, Eagles, you took like dogs today. You went to Washington and you sucked dick. It was terrible. It was awful. It was ridiculous. Robert Griffin III. I mean, this guy, people have been saying that this guy can't play football anymore. And I wanted to see this game because I have not been able to evaluate Robert Griffin III myself since early in the season because he's been benched and all this ridiculousness. So I wanted to sit down and I wanted to watch Robert Griffin again. And I wanted to see for myself in my own eyes whether or not RG3 was salvageable, whether or not he could still be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And from what I saw today, absolutely he can. This guy was hitting the deep ball here today. 2 deep balls to Desean Jackson, one for 54 yards, the other for 51. And then he was picked off on another deep pass. There were 2 problems with that one deep pass if you saw it. One was that he underthrew it. I mean, the pass was grossly underthrown. The other one was that the Eagles disguised it. Because basically, what RG3 was doing was that he would look whether or not there was single high coverage over the top. And then he would let Desean Jackson beat the cornerback one-on-one and throw the deep ball. And RG3, if you want to hate him for whatever you want to, that's fine. This kid can throw the deep ball like I've never seen before in my life. I mean, this guy is accurate with the deep ball and so effortless when he throws it as well. He's kind of like what Jay Cutler would be if he gave a damn. That's pretty much how RG3 throws the deep ball. So he was hitting Desean Jackson, right? He's getting confident. He's like, every time I see the single high coverage, Desean Jackson is going to run a go 9 route, and I'm going to throw it up there. But finally, the Eagles said, all right, we're going to act like we're going to disguise that we're giving this to you, and then we're really going to send a safety over there to pick that shit off. And that's what happened. And RG3, that's a coaching thing. That's also a quarterback thing. He could have noticed that the safety was going over there. It kind of looked like it was a predetermined throw, a scripted throw that no matter what, he was going to throw that football anyway. But if that was a decision of his, which it very well might have been, when he dropped back, he should have noticed the safety, or he should have said, hey, I've gotten lucky with this. That doesn't mean I'm going to get lucky all night long. I mean, this is the NFL. Sooner or later, teams catch on. This isn't college. These teams, this defensive coordinator knows this is working for me, and they're not going to give this to me. This is too obvious right now. I've already gotten it twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Shame on me. Fool me twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. He got them the first time, got them the second time, tried his luck the third time, got picked off. But ultimately, that tells me he's coachable. That if you coach him out of making that decision, he can throw the ball better. But from what I was hearing from the Washington media was that he was just inaccurate. And from what I saw today was a very accurate quarterback. So maybe he learned when he was on the bench. And last week, from what I knew, he played well in the first half. Things in the second half kind of fell off. But when Alfred Morris is running the ball well, when Pierre Garçon is running after the catch, when Desean Jackson is running deep routes, this appears to be the team that I picked to win the NFC East before the season. This is what I expected in what we saw this game today. So, down to the Redskins. Are they going to move forward in 2015 with Robert Griffin III? If they don't, hey, if I'm out there, let's say I'm the Bills, I'm saying, hey, how you doing? Because, hey, we don't trust EJ Manuel. Why? I don't know. That's an entirely different story. But for some reason, we don't trust EJ Manuel. We see Robert Griffin out there. Hey, maybe we can get him because we're out of reach for a quarterback. We can't draft a quarterback in the 2015 NFL draft, except for maybe the second round. That's it. There's only 2 first-round quarterbacks in this NFL draft. So because of that, why don't we trade for Robert Griffin III? We've given the Redskins a 4th-round pick, and then maybe RG3 can come to Buffalo and have a completely different career. But from what I saw today, RG3 is salvageable. He can be saved. He can be salvaged into an NFL quarterback. So don't give up on RG3 just yet, but keep him in the pocket. And he showed today that he can make throws from within the pocket. He can do that. He is able to do that. So let him do that. Now, Eagles. Again, LaShawn McCoy, I don't know what you guys are doing, to be honest. Okay, LaShawn McCoy, Chris Polk, Darren Sproles, I don't know what you guys are doing with these cats. If I'm you, I'm giving it to LaShawn McCoy, period. I mean, this guy is not getting the football enough to me, and it's not just because he's on my fantasy team. But honestly, I think you gotta let this guy get into a rhythm, and they always want to run outside of the shotgun. And when you're running, and you're facing this Redskins defense, who the one thing they're good at, okay, is facing the run. I don't think you really want to run out of the shotgun. I think you might, especially with their outside linebackers. Their outside linebackers, they're pretty smart. You got Ryan Kerrigan, Brian Arakpo. These guys are pretty witful. They're going to know that you're going to run on the outside. Maybe it's not time to disguise. Maybe it's time to just say, hey, we're just going to run the football up the middle. We're going to be under center. We're going to hand it off. We're going to run up the middle. And we're going to let LaShawn McCoy get consistent runs. And when they ran it up the middle, LaShawn McCoy got good runs out of it. So I look at that and I say, hey, you guys should run the football more. And ultimately, though, Mark Sanchez sucks. And we knew this coming in. And unfortunately, the St. Louis Rams are going to be stupid enough to give him a job next year. But Mark Sanchez is not an NFL starting quarterback. He's not. Makes too many turnovers. Just isn't very football savvy. I don't know if he doesn't put the work in the film room, in the board room, or whatever. This guy does not know how to be a starting NFL caliber quarterback. And because of that, the Eagles are done. If Nick Foles was playing this game, they would have won the football game. But Mark Sanchez driving on the second to last drive of the game, I mean, you can't do anything with this guy. You can't. I mean, so that's just it. But there you go. Now on to my Seahawks. You know, my Seahawks prediction. This game had adverse effects for my Seahawks prediction because I had the Eagles and the Lions making the playoffs as wild cards. As 11-5 and the Seahawks 10-6. With this game, the best the Eagles can be is 10-6, and they will have the tiebreaker over the Philadelphia Eagles. So because of this game, it appears as if my prediction is off rail. It has been derailed. It is done. It is finished. Most likely. Now, there is one more scenario that can take place in order for my prediction to reign true, and this is what has to happen. And I don't think it will happen. I don't. I'm off my prediction now. But it could happen, so let's just keep that in mind. Here's what has to happen. The Seahawks have to lose at Arizona this week. I already had that. I had that preseason. I had that pre-week. I still have that. The Cowboys need to lose to Indy in Dallas. Now, that is that's a 55-45 game. I think there's a 55% chance Dallas wins that game, but the 45% is pretty large too. So Indy could very well win that football game. So let's not forget that. Then, next week, the Eagles have to win. Now, they lost this week, but I believe they'll be able to take care of the Giants. Okay, fine, not asking too much. The Seahawks have to lose in Seattle to St. Louis. That one's tough. But from what I've seen from the Rams defense, I think it's feasible. I think it's possible. I think it's credible. I think it's believable. So, then, the Cowboys need to go to Washington and lose. 5 games. Those are 5 games. I need them to play out just like that for my prediction to reign true, and it most likely will not. But, I'm going to leave with this. Even though my prediction was wrong, okay? Let's see what happens this week. If the Seahawks lose this week, that means at best they would have been 11-5. If they lose next week, that means they're 10-6. Now, going into the season, I predicted the Seahawks to go 10-6. I went through each and every schedule for each and every football team, and I said win, I said loss. I said win, I said loss. And as it turned out, the Seahawks were 10-6. But you know who had better records than them? 6 other NFC teams. So when I looked at that, I said, I don't have the Seahawks making the playoffs. And it was because their schedule was so difficult. And even though right now they have 4 losses, okay, and that's great. That's great. They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost to the Dallas Cowboys. They lost to, who else did they? The St. Louis Rams. And they lost to the San Diego Chargers, okay? Who'd they beat? Okay, there are some tough teams they beat. They beat the Packers, the Broncos, the Eagles, the 49ers twice, okay? 9 teams right there I just named are great teams. Now, the 49ers aren't as great as they used to be, but I mean, those are 9 games that were very tough. So I was looking at the schedule, I said, this is very tough. And they still have to go to Arizona, and they still have to face St. Louis again. So I looked at the schedule, and I said, this is too tough. I said, this is way too tough. I did not make this prediction because I hated the Seahawks. No, I said, this schedule is too tough, guys. And we'll see how the schedule shake out. Now, if they go 10-6 and they still make the playoffs, I'm going to think my prediction was pretty damn good. Because that means I got the record right. The record was fine. But the scenarios didn't play out like the way I thought they would. And if that's the way it turns out, fine. If they go 11-5, they lose in Arizona into this week, and then they beat St. Louis next week. That tells me I was a game off. Ultimately, I was a game off. I thought they were going to be 11-5. I thought they were going to be 10-6. They were 11-5. So what? If they win these next 2 games, then fine. I was wrong. I was stupid. I was an idiot. But that's my rationale. I'm not crazy. I don't hate the Seahawks. That is what I thought when going in. And a lot of you started watching my videos mid-season, didn't see my prediction preseason, didn't see me explain thoroughly why I thought the Seahawks would not make the playoffs. Not because they're not a good team, but because they faced 9 games, 10 games against really good teams. That's scary to me. I said, whoa! But maybe the scenarios play out, and I'm right at the end of the day. But we'll see how it turns out. That's it. There you go. There's my rationale. But I'm sure you guys are still going to hate me in the comments and go right ahead. But this game's over, and I will be back, most likely, to do the San Diego Chargers and San Francisco 49ers football game. But until next time, James Carter TV, I'm out. Peace.